What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I was just going to kind of tell you my own personal finance and investment journey. It might be a little bit inspiring to some of you guys. Some of you guys might be way ahead of me, way behind me. That I don't care. I'm not competing with anybody. However, this might help some people out and just kind of show the importance of personal finance and some investment strategies, as well as a couple little tricks that I've done along the way. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Please smash the like button and consider subscribing. So let me take you back to 2015. I was a very young 31 years old. I had about $35,000 in a 403b. That's the only investments I had. Luckily, I even had that. So a 403b is it's just like a 401k, but it's for a nonprofit organization. So I specifically remember someone was like, hey man, if you own some stocks, they'll just pay you dividends. Like you just get free money for owning stocks. And I was kind of blown away by that. And anyway, that was one of the first things I kind of got interested in, and that kind of started my entire journey of looking into any type of investments, stocks, bonds, whatever. Anyway, someone just literally told me that. I got kind of excited about it, and I started looking into it from there. So from there, the next things I did was I started reading a bunch of investment books and personal finance books. A couple of my favorite books definitely was Millionaire Next Door. That was very enlightening to me, as well as Your Money or Your Life. And I want to do a huge shout out to Mr. Money Mustache, who had a blog. I don't know if you guys remember him. He's like super frugal. He was like one of the FIRE people, so financial independent, retire early. And he was an engineer. I think he retired at like age 30 or something. And anyway, he was pretty cool. And then just in general, getting out of consumerism and then just buying things that are important, almost like minimalism. I don't quite consider myself a minimalist. Around other people, I probably am minimalist, but anyway, that was kind of a start. When I first started, I didn't really have a goal or like why I wanted to do any of that. I knew that at some point I would like to have more money. At the time, I was kind of living paycheck to paycheck, and I knew I didn't want that at least. Like I said, I didn't have like a long-term goal yet, but I did know that I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. So I remember I started a Roth IRA because I had read online that the Roth IRA was probably one of the best things to do, which I still agree with. But I started a Roth IRA and I was working, I think I was putting in like $100 every paycheck at the time. So like every Friday we'd get paid. And I think I put like $100 in because I thought I was like tight on cash or whatever. But I'm glad that I did that at least. And anyway, that was kind of the start. I remember I started slowly getting excited about it. Like I don't know, I remember like I had $1,000 in there all of a sudden and then like $2,000. So anyway, I ended up maxing that out because I started getting a little bit excited about it. Investing becomes a little bit addicting in my opinion, so it's kind of it's a nice thing to collect as money, right? So anyway, it was fun to see that start going up, and it got me more excited about learning more stuff. When I originally started, I was buying a S&P mutual fund. I've later switched to ETFs and stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. Just get started with something. But I was doing S&P 500 mutual funds originally. So later in 2015, it was like November, I actually became a travel nurse and I went up to Duluth, Minnesota, and I no longer would have a 401k or a 403b through that. Like it's like an agency thing. You basically are a free agent every 3 months. You can go work wherever you want, sign any contract you want, or not work. It's a pretty cool thing that I did. Anyway, at that time I started doing way more research on any type of ETFs and stocks and mutual funds. That's kind of all I was interested in at the time. Was mostly mutual funds and ETFs. I did look a little bit about stocks, but I didn't think I knew enough to do any stock stuff. And another thing I remember doing, I busted out like the investment calculator online. And man, you say you're going to put in $100 a week or $100 a month or whatever. You try $200 a month, $300 a month, and it is a huge change. So at that time, I started being like, I need to put as much money as I can while I'm still younger, because I saw that the age was most important too. So if I'm 30 and I could put in like $400 a week, which is what I ended up doing at the time, but that would go much farther than if I was 40 and did $400 a week. So I went ahead and did $400 a week. So looking back, one of the most important things definitely was time, money, and discipline. So the easiest thing to do for me for discipline was every Monday I'd put $400 into the accounts. And at the time, I think the Roth, you could put in like $110 a week or whatever. So every week I'd put in the money. I might have said a month earlier, but every week I'd put in the money, $400, and just buy the S&P 500 mutual fund and ETF, whichever one I got into at the time, and just let it go every single week, just buy the same thing. Ended up finding out that's called dollar cost averaging, and that's actually one of the best ways to invest. Another thing I remember doing was something that I call the 30-day challenge, and what you do is you pull up your bank statement and you look at your last 30 days, and for me, I personally write them into categories like spending at the restaurant or spending on groceries, whatever, gas. So instead of trying to budget forward, you're actually looking backwards. And I remember that my going out to eat was like $450 a month or something. That included like beer. At the time, I believe I shot at like a pool table, like a pool league, billiards and stuff. So anyway, any money I spent on like any recreational stuff, I put into that bucket. So I remember I spent like $450 a month, and it's just like, to me, that was just insane. Like the dollar cost opportunity of like where else I could have put that money. So anyway, I ended up like doing that 30-day challenge probably like every 3 months. I didn't do it every time, but what it does is it makes you very conscious of how much money you're spending as you're going. And for me, that was more powerful than trying to budget ahead of time. But I still was doing the every Monday, putting money into the accounts. So I remember later on, after I did the 30-day challenge, I ended up like the next time and the next time it'd be like whatever, 250 and then 225. Yeah, I stayed somewhere around the $200 range because you don't want to not spend any money on stuff. But when it's stuff like I personally don't drink coffee, but one of my roommates at the time did that also, and they were spending like so much money on Starbucks. So I'm not saying the latte effect is as important, because honestly, your rent or mortgage and your car payment are probably the two biggest things. But also spending money on food is another thing. But anyway, those are a couple things I looked at. So I knew from any research that I had done that I wanted to get at least 20% in the stock market, 20 to 25%. So I was able to do that pretty quickly. The 400 a week at the time when I was a travel nurse, I also was doing that. But I stopped working as a travel nurse. I got a normal job again as a nurse. But at this time, then you get a 401k again, or 403b or whatever. Anyway, I just remember I wanted to stay at 20% of my income going into investments. So something else I found very valuable was to actually write down my goals with pen and paper. That might sound kind of like old school or whatever, childish or whatever, but man, writing that down actually makes goals come true, in my opinion. So I remember I wrote down specifically like, I will invest $20,000 in the stock market. And then from there, I did all the math. So like $385 a week is $20,000. So I remember I would like max out my Roth, and then the rest of the money I put in my taxable account. And then I would literally write down my $20,000, and like I would make sure each quarter I had put $5,000 in or more. And then kind of you can keep up with it from there. And like I said, I just wanted to make sure I hit this part. The automatic investments is super important. Every Monday, the money going into the accounts, that is like, instead of budgeting, for me, that was way better. Then you're taking action, you're being proactive, and you're not having to do all the budgeting stuff, which I think is annoying anyway. So just as long as you're paying yourself first, I think that's super important. So other goals I wrote down was to be completely out of debt. At the time I had a truck, and well, I still have the same truck, but I think I owed like $17,000 on it. I have a 2016 Toyota Tundra, and I still owed, like $17,000 on it. So I wrote all that down. I wrote down goals on like paying that off soon. And at this time, I came up with a goal that I wanted to work for myself, or at least not be dependent on having to work for somebody. Not that I wouldn't have to, or maybe even just go part-time or whatever. There's a couple of things. I remember I was trying to take a vacation, and the hospital was like, you need to trade this day with somebody, and it's like a Saturday, no one would trade you. So you're just like, okay. Then anyway, I just remember I really wanted to work for myself. So that I could, so like this summer, my girlfriend and I went to Glacier National Park, and I didn't have to ask anybody to trade me or anything. I just didn't book clients that week. If you guys don't know, I'm now a full-time portrait photographer on the beach. So I just didn't book any clients that week, and we went out of town, and I had no problem. And I came back and started when I was ready, and it was nice to build my own schedule. So quick information about me for my investing. I do typically put most of my money in index funds, ETFs. Like I personally use SPLG and VYM. I also use QQQM, which is the NASDAQ. But anyway, I'm not telling you guys to use those. Look up your own investment strategies. But those are just what I did. It keeps it really simple, just dollar cost averaging in index funds. At the same time, I've probably in the last couple of years been buying a little bit more individual stocks, but that only becomes like 15% of the weight of the investments I'm doing. So that being said, last July, so we're talking 2021, I had enough money in my brokerage accounts, taxable account, all that stuff, to feel pretty confident in not needing to work for anybody anymore. So I put in a notice, and I no longer was working as a nurse, and I took on as many portrait jobs as I could. So in contrast, I don't know if any of you guys are nurses or know any nurses, married to nurses, whatever. Anyway, I worked in the ER for about 12 years. I did trauma and all this crazy stuff. Anyway, if you're out in triage, someone will come in. Let's say you have no rooms. Someone comes in and they have their head's bleeding and stuff, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this guy? I don't have any rooms. And the next guy comes in, they have a kidney stone, and then another guy comes in having chest pain. It's very stressful out there. So if you guys go to the ER, please be nice to the nurses. It's a very stressful job. It's a very important job, and I may go back to it just like as needed, just to keep my skills up and stuff. But anyway, just so I went from that to now. I like tonight I have a session and I gotta leave in like an hour and a half. I'm hanging out with the family at sunset at the beach. We have beautiful beaches. I live in the panhandle of Florida. It's like on the Gulf Coast. We have white sand beaches. It's amazing. And anyway, now I hang out with people on the beach and take photos, and we play games, and I give prompts, and such a nice difference. And all of this is literally because I started my personal finance journey and investment journey back in 2015. So I currently have about 6 to 7 years of expenses in the stock market right now. Some of you guys might think that's a lot, and that I'm crazy, and you might be right, and I'm okay with that. I do have enough money to weather through a downturn, which we're already going through, and the 6-7 years is even after the dip. I feel like it's too risky not to put money into the market. Other stuff I've done, I have a smaller house in Florida, and I live about 7 minutes from the beach. I moved down here from Omaha, Nebraska in 2018. It was just too cold there. I didn't want to live there. Like, some people wait till retirement to move somewhere, but I'm all about being proactive and stuff, and I didn't want to live in Nebraska anymore. One day I was walking to work and it was like -40 with wind chill, and I had enough of that. So here I am in Florida now. My parents moved down here. My brother and his wife moved down here too. So things are going well. The coldest it gets here is like maybe 45, 50, somewhere around there, because I'm on the panhandle. I'm not like in Miami. But also prayers to all our people hit the hurricane down there. But as I walk around the neighborhood, I'm like, man, I think that I am maybe the prototype of like the millionaire next door, just like a regular dude that has, crazy hair like me right now, wearing regular t-shirts or whatever. I'm not flashy at all. I have a regular truck. Just have a little beagle. You guys have probably seen him as well. I'll put a picture of him at the end of this. Also, if you guys are liking this content, please subscribe to the channel, join the community. I love talking about personal finances and investments. So if you guys want to join me on that, that'd be awesome. Go ahead and smash the like button. My investment strategy this year, I didn't know this was going to be it until the market went way down. I've actually put over 50% of my income into the stock market this year, and I think it'll pay off. I can't promise anything, I don't know that, but hopefully it'll pay off here. I've been buying, this year I bought a little bit more stocks than normal, so that's why I'm about up to 15% on that. But anyway, I think it'll come back. I don't know when. I don't need the money like next week. I have 5 years, 10 years before I wouldn't even need the money. Maybe 20 years, that's okay. So 2015 to today, now I work for myself. The most important thing is I can control my time. That is literally the why. Freedom is why. Controlling my time. Also, I never have to fight anybody to take a day off. Hey man, you gotta trade this Saturday. Like, come on man, I don't wanna do all that. So anyway, that's the main thing is, man, freedom, the why. And if you end up having a family and stuff, they'll be taken care of. Got enough money to take care of yourself and your family. So just to conclude this video, freedom, independence, and choice is ultimately why I personally decided to go on a personal finance journey like this. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's content. Like I said, if you're still here, please consider subscribing to the channel, smash the like button, comment down below if you learned anything, or if you're on a similar track, if you're ahead of me, behind me. Like I said, this isn't a competition. We can be on this journey together. So like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. Let me put a picture of Pongo up real fast, and you guys have a great day. As promised, here's a picture of Pongo. This is us on a hike. We go hiking out in the woods quite often. I used to have to drive to work at this time. Now I can take my dog out and go hiking. We go out to sunset all the time, and what a life change. And I'm telling you guys, doing a personal finance journey, an investment journey, anything close like I did, it'll be your own story. But I hope this is inspiring to somebody. If I can help one person kind of make a good decision, then my job here is done.